the big one, it just will turn your stomach.
Yeah.
Darren Skinner, 49, who was a Max Creek student resource officer with Camden County Sheriff's Department, he was charged with 14 felony counts of child pornography crimes. On Monday, December 18th, he was booked into Camden County Jail with no bond. In a letter posted to Facebook back in August of 23, Sheriff Helms did indicate that there was a officer or a deputy on their staff or payroll that was suspected and under investigation. And he did indicate in the letter that this individual had been fired. However, Sheriff Helms did not list Darren Skinner in this initial letter back in August of 23. Now, everybody saw the post over the holidays, right? And it kind of went viral. Well, Darren Skinner made his initial court appearance on December 21st, just 3 days after being arrested, and he pled not guilty. Now, the 14 felony counts, Chris, first offender for 2 counts of felony possession of child pornography, 6 counts of felony promoting child pornography, and 6 counts of second-degree promoting child pornography. Just disgusting, especially considering the individual worked with a school district here locally, and you've seen the overwhelming response from the community, and it's a really good thing that he's locked up.
Yeah, so these charges are both for possessing and sending child porn. The case against Skinner in this the story from Lake Expo says it nearly died before the charges were filed, but it was resuscitated by the critical eye of an investigator in the Camden County Prosecutor's Office who noticed something was missing. So it's almost like some of the powers that be tried to sweep it under the rug and, tried to get by without it being prosecuted there. But good job from the prosecutor's office for catching that. Lake Expo reached out to
Tracy Robinette, I wanted to
That's right.
shout out Tracy Robinette.
The investigator, absolutely. Lake Expo reached out to Camden County Sheriff Tony Helms' office, asked about the length of time it took for the sheriff's office to refer the case to the Missouri State Highway Patrol. They're the ones who actually did the investigation, as well as why Skinner remained on payroll for nearly a month after he was identified as the suspect in the investigation. Helms did not respond. So that's all very interesting there. When asked if there was any indication that Lake area children were impacted by Skinner's alleged crime, and we know what that means, Grosvenor, the Camden County prosecutor, Grosvenor said she couldn't comment on that part of the investigation yet. Quote, there are other elements, other information that was found that we are still investigating, according to Grosvenor, the Camden County prosecutor. So there's still more to this, apparently, that is coming. But all of this is nasty, ugly, gross, sick, and still a lot of questions to be answered.
And, kudos to Lake Expo, wonderful reporting, wonderful journalism for them. 3 different stories, the initial report, and then obviously the timeline, and then the follow-up that showed investigators noticed something and almost died. So it's important to note that the timeline, the first tip came back in October of 2020, and it was from MeWe, which I am assuming, based on all of the supporting and context clues, is a social media app. And they issued a cyber tip to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children back in October of 2020. Now, nothing else in the timeline happens for about a year and a half later, and then May 22, cyber tip about 3 images. Now, the investigation officially begins about a year later on June 7th, 2023. On July 14th, same year, detective learns of the email address that's tied to Darren Skinner, and on July 26th, Skinner officially becomes the suspect. On August 1st, the Camden County Sheriff's Department then referred the case to the Missouri State Highway Patrol to take over the case. August 15th, Skinner's house is searched. And this is what's interesting. His house was searched, where Skinner allegedly confirmed the account belonged to him. He said he did receive images of child porn, but deleted them immediately and never sent pictures to others. His cell phone was seized during the search as well, and the Missouri Digital Forensics Center found there were no media files of child porn on his device. So at that point, the Missouri State Highway Patrol investigator concluded there's not enough info here to request criminal charges, and that's where it nearly died. In August, the case file was submitted to the Camden County Prosecutor's Office for review. The Missouri State Highway Patrol saying, hey, we can't find enough, we're going to close this file unless you guys. And so Tracy Robinette took the helm, and Grosvenor said, our prosecutor, I certainly credit him with picking up the ball and running with it after he got the referral that the patrol was closing the investigation. He is an excellent investigator with training and experience specific to kid cases. So it's worth also noting, Chris, that in June when the investigation began and then Skinner was found out in July, that when that case was turned over shortly after, August 1st, Camden County continued to pay Darren Skinner until August 22nd, fired him on August 23rd, and that's when that letter went to the public from Sheriff Helms without releasing his name or tying him to it. Now, the grossest thing that I found in all of the proceedings here and why it's so important that he's prosecuted to the full extent of the law, the danger that he brings, the children that he was involved with these images, up to 16 years old, but the sick part as young as 2 years old. And so hard to fathom. And so after this came out and it goes viral and everybody's talking about this, you would think at that point in time that Sheriff Helms would say something, right? Because I want to bring up, this is the second Camden County deputy on Helms' watch that has been guilty of child pornography crimes. If you'll remember Lenny Wilson back in 2019, who wasn't really vetted before he was hired, that tie goes all the way back to Chris Twitchell, another tie that we have with Camden County's Sheriff's Department. And so this is not the first time, and so it does leave you to believe, can we trust Sheriff Helms? And what is he going to say now that this is public? Why didn't you release his name for the when it first came out? Secondly, why did you not fire him sooner? And third, are you going to address this huge elephant in the room as far as Camden County is concerned? And